Hello. Slightly delayed, but that's okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. It is Friday, TGIF. It's Friday. I'm going to share this out if anybody wants to join in. But starts now, you have to share out as the live starts, so that's bringing a slight delay. But good morning, everyone. Today is chapter 31 of Exodus. It is day 24, so I have been doing this for 24 days. I actually feel 100% better now. Hi, baby. Yes, my little kitty cat right here. I feel 100% better right now, which is kind of good because I was expecting that I would be bedridden this weekend. So I'm not going to wish that or anything like that. But maybe the fact that I actually slept yesterday and I got some good sleep and I rested, maybe that's a good thing. So I feel better. So I'm all ready because now we're getting back into the storyline. For the past 10 chapters of Exodus, very, very difficult read for me. But the interesting thing, it spawned a lot of discussions because I almost feel like the last 10 chapters, they rarely talk about in a church setting. And I think the reason they don't talk about it is the Lord is giving a blueprint for what he wants as far as a tabernacle and a church. He's giving the exact instructions. And I guarantee if we take these exact instructions and put it to a modern day church, people will be horrified and leave and want nothing to do with the church. So it's interesting how the Old Covenant in the Old Testament is very, very different than the New Covenant. I get ahead of myself so many times. Welcome to the show, whoever came in. Let me start off with a prayer. But baby, you're going to have to get off the Bible. Here, I'll just show you. See? That's my little treasure right here. She's right next to mommy, but she's on top of the Bible, and that's not good. You're protecting the Bible for me? Come on. Oh, let's move this over, because we don't want you to be reading this. Not that I don't want you reading it, I just don't want you on top of it so I can read it. All right, so let me start off with a prayer, because I always think a prayer is very important for this. Grant me the clarity, grant me the wisdom. Please, I ask for you to grant me understanding as I read the words that are put before me. Please do not allow any attacks of confusion or doubt or fear. Please allow the audience to embrace your word and to have a meaningful, thoughtful discussion where we can all learn, grow, and accept your word. I don't even know what to say. I thank you for all this time that you've been teaching me and guiding the way. And I hope that this will be another day where I can understand your word. Amen. Okay, so that is my prayer. I'm still getting used to the verbal aspect of a prayer. I know I say that every day, but it's very, very difficult when you always pray within your head and then to verbalize it. So hopefully it's getting better. So now, treasure. They always act up. I say this every time. I guess it's because I work before I go on the live, and I'm here the whole time. But then I guess the moment I start talking and the moment I start speaking, they get so excited. Ooh, here, there's my baby treasure. They get so excited that they want to be part of the show. I don't know. But anyway, as we were talking about, so the last 10 chapters have been a instruction manual on how he wants this tabernacle. He did talk about the commandments. He talked about his testimony. He talked about the exact specifications of the altar. He talked about the exact ritualistic aspects of sacrifice and of monetary offerings and of giving. And like I said, this for me personally is a very, very difficult chapter. And I'm not trying to offend anybody when I do this, but I am getting I am getting a glaring message that the entities that we are reading are different entities. And everybody keeps telling me it's one and the same. And you know something? I will accept that it all comes together. But right now, there is such a disconnect for me from how God and the Lord is. And I don't know until I get to the next, because right now we're in the view of Moses. Moses does the first 5 books. And I almost want to question if when we get to the different writers of the different books, are they channeling the same God, persona, deity, whatever you want to call it? Are they channeling the same being that is described in the first few chapters? And I say that carefully because we're always talking about gods. There's multiple gods. And I don't understand. It really bothers me. Why is the Lord so jealous? Now, there was justification saying, well, his children, us, are turning our back against him. But to me, that is a human trait. That is an evil trait. That is something that blinds. And it makes me wonder, okay, do gods have faults then? Is that what the issue is? Because if he is the all supreme number one being, then what is there to be jealous of? Why would he have that jealousy? So I'm still up in the air. I'm going to keep reading about the Lord, and I do want to take notes from when the Lord versus God, if there is still a difference. But let's go on. Chapter 31, day 24, and this is just when he finished the whole covenant with the Lord. Okay, the Lord spoke unto Moses. So now Lord speaking. See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, and the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom and understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship. Okay, pause for a second. Just hear me out. That's why I'm saying there's 2 people. Moses is speaking to the Lord. And the Lord is saying, I have filled him with the Spirit of God. Why didn't he just say, if the Lord is speaking, I have filled them with my Spirit? Okay? That's why I'm getting caught with pronouns. I'm getting caught with the pronouns. Because like I said, if the Lord is the supreme God, if the Lord is number one, why would he have jealousy? And why is there a detachment between himself and God? Wouldn't he say, I have brought you the Spirit. I have given you my Spirit. I have done this for you. No, he's saying, I'm giving you the Spirit of God. So it's making me feel like there's a detachment between God and the Lord. I'm really feeling like this is 2 separate beings. All right, so let me see. The Lord spoke unto Moses. I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manners of workmanship, to devise cunning words, to work in gold and silver and brass, and in cutting stones, to set them in carving of timber, to work in all manners of workmanship. And I, behold, I have given him with Elohib, the son of Ahishmach, and the tribe of Dan. And in the hearts of all wise-hearted I have put wisdom, that I may make all that I have commanded thee. Okay, so notice the difference. He says, I have filled this, wait a minute. He says, I have filled him with the Spirit of God. But now he's saying, this is the stuff I done. I have given him, so it's almost like the Spirit is a separate person, but the tools and the advancements that were given to these people were done by the Lord. You see the difference? I mean, I know it's a subtle difference, but it's like, because he would just say, I filled you with my spirit. This is what I have done. He didn't say that. He says, I filled him with the Spirit of God. Now he goes on to say the things that he actually done. I used it to devise cunning words, to work in gold. So this is all the things that he uplifted, like Aaron and Moses. But let me keep going. The tabernacle of the congregation and the ark of the testimony, the mercy seat that is thereupon, and all the furniture in the tabernacle, and the table and his furniture, and pure candlesticks, and all the furniture, and all the altar of incense. I'm going to stop for 1 second as well, because another thing I'm noticing is the Lord already gave these things. Now it's like, I almost want to feel like he's rubbing it in his face. Look at what, I mean, it's like, that's where the look at me thing. He's like, look at what I've done for you. I've done this. I've done this. So it's almost like we were talking about the idea of whether the Lord forces you into worshiping him. Because in the previous, with the whole Passover idea, he literally forced them. You had a choice. Either you worship me and put the blood over the door, or your firstborn and you were going to get killed. I'm going to kill your firstborn. To me, that is a threat upon worshiping, and it's giving up the free will. I mean, the free will point is, okay, I could either follow or not follow. But even in this, does the Lord really need to reiterate all the things he's done for you? Because I almost feel like it's completely opposite what people tell me now. They tell me they have a relationship with God or Jesus. They talk to Jesus, they talk to Lord. At any point when you're praying or talking or having that relationship with Jesus, does he turn around and say, well, look what I've done for you, look what I've done? I don't see that. But yet here, that is how it's being described. Hello, Sarah. Lots of love. Thank you so much for the likes. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out, I just get this weird negative undertone every time I'm reading about the Lord. And I'm not trying to be blind on this. I don't want to go into this with such negativity. But the more and more I'm reading about it, the more it just seems... Let me continue though. It just, like I said, this is such a change compared to how I know of Jesus. And that's why I feel like this person, Jesus, God, completely separate. But let me go on, because right now, in a sense, he's rubbing it in, all the things that he's done for these people. I do feel the Holy Spirit reminds me to be grateful when I fall into complaining. Okay, so that's a good thing to remember. But do you think it's more like rubbing it in sort of thing? I mean, is it like a gentle reminder? Or in your relationship or feeling, it's like they're pointing out every single thing? I mean, I'm going to pause right here. Let me just put my marker here. I almost feel like, okay, I'm going to get into an argument with a parent and a child. Because I think we've all had this where a child starts arguing with their parent, and I'm going to put it in light of this. Yes, the parent does say, well, I do this for you, I do that for you, I do this for you, I do that for you. But, I mean, that could be the justification of why the Lord is doing that. But at the same time, I know. I in one end I'm justifying it, and on the other end I'm like it's disconnecting for me. Okay, it's not a cocky reminder. Yes, it's a gentle reminder. I mean, I'm probably on the right path. I'm probably thinking, okay, this is the Lord is the Father, and the children need a gentle reminder. But I just feel like with all this extravagance, with all this, that this is not a gentle reminder. This is a list by list by list by list. Wouldn't the Lord just say, look at all the wonderful things I've done for you? But no, this is like cherry picking, like to the T. I have given you cunning words. I've given you gold. I've given you silver, brass. I've given you the ability to cut stones. I mean, it's literally like he wants praise for every little single thing instead of just the big picture. I mean, on a parent's point of view, it's always I give you a roof over your head, food on the table, and clothing. Like that to me has always been the top three things that parents will say to their children: food, clothing, shelter. Okay, I feel like this is going so far deep because in comparison, hello, Mr. Green, welcome to the show. I almost feel like in comparison, then a parent would be like, look what I gave you. I gave you an Xbox. I gave you this. I gave you. So, you know what I mean? I feel like there's some sort of disconnect. Hold on 1 second, guys. I got to plug in my phone. I didn't realize my plug came disconnected. There it is. Okay. Why is my plug becoming disconnected? Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. I got to watch the my phone battery because I'm only at 15%, but I have it plugged in, but it popped up. Mr. Green is asking, please pray for me, my digestive health, and for me to sleep well at night. Please pray. Okay, prayer warriors out there, definitely send a prayer to Mr. Green. We pray that he's helped with any digestive issues, helped with sleep. We pray that his health will improve upon and that he can get a good night's rest. And thank you so much. We're going to pray for you. I'm bad. I'll admit, I'm really bad when it comes to verbal prayers. But we are going to pray for you, and I'm going to ask all the prayer warriors as well to send a prayer out for you. I hope everything is okay. I will say this. You did bring up an interesting thing. Sleep patterns have been really, really off lately for a lot of people. So if you're feeling alone in the fact that you can't sleep, I'm hearing it so many things. I mean, I will be honest, last night was the first night I actually slept. And I mean, really slept. In fact, today, I mentioned when I started that I feel alert. I feel much better. I don't feel as run down. But I definitely feel like on a energetic thing that something weird has been going on. If you believe in moon cycles, yes, it's been a full moon for the past couple of nights, but I don't know. It's like, it's the time of year where we just changed the clocks, we changed the seasons, it's getting darker. It's just overall that seasonal doldrums, I guess you could say. It's just that downtime. So I hope everything, and I pray for you, that everything feels better, Mr. Green. And that goes the same for everybody. I mean, like I said, this is just a tough time of the year. And particularly with all the things happening, all the negativity in the air. So we need to turn it around, make it positive, and really bring it together. But anyway, in regards to this, I almost feel like I said, the good analogy to justify the attitude is like a parent telling their children, this is what I do for you. I do food, shelter, water. I do all this thing for you. You need to be grateful for the things I do for you. But at the same time, I still feel like if you are this all-knowing, omnipotent, number one being that's in charge of everything, would you really need to do that? Would you really need to have jealousy? Would you really need to punish? I don't know. I mean, unless, hear me out, is there constantly a, dare I say, war? Is there constantly a war for the number one spot? I mean, on a competition level, down to us, there always is competition to be number one. It makes me wonder, is there some sort of opposition and competition in the realm of the gods, where even the supreme God that created everything is in constant war with other people? I don't know, with other beings. I don't know. Let me go back. If your children are honoring you, why not? Because this is the question I have. Free will. Are we not allowed to have free will? I mean, I almost wonder if free will is a false context. Because in the Garden of Eden, they had everything. Pure utopia. Everything is blessed. But he said, the one thing I forbid you for doing is partaking of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Which is interesting, the tree of knowledge. Because it's almost tempting. Matrix example. Red pill, blue pill. You have the choice. You know what I mean? So the free will was the choice whether to take it or not to take it. By taking it, it completely opened up another world for them. It made them see things that they didn't realize. They saw their nakedness. They sinned. I mean, it opened their eyes to the evils of the world because it's like they were blinded with all the good. Why not be upset about it? That's just it. Are we comparing our emotions? Do gods have emotions like we have? I mean, I guess the answer is yes, but I just wonder. I guess it's my misconception. I always see God as good, pure. I don't see why he should have any negative points of view. If that means we are created, that's true, we are. So maybe that's what it is even God has the choice within, the moral dilemma, the moral compass between right, wrong, good, evil, doing bad things, doing not. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe the Bible is showing us that he's not this perfect, all good being, that he does have qualities like we have, which would be jealousy, which would be anger. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this is everybody says this is living word. Maybe that's what it is. In reading this, we are seeing that even our own faults are what God experiences as well. Well, okay, we are flawed though he is not, but that's just it. I'm pointing out that he is flawed. That's the point that I'm struggling right now, is because my initial thought before I read this is that God is not flawed. God is perfect. God is positive in everything. That's how I'm going into it. But in reading this, I'm almost feeling like he is just like us. There are flaws. There are negativity. And that's what I think I'm struggling with right now, because I see the negativity that is being expressed through his. Whereas I've always been ingrained by church and teaching that God is this perfect being. God is number one. And now I'm starting to see, and it's not diminishing his power. I'm not trying to diminish his power at all. What I'm starting to see is he really does have those moral choices that he needs to make. His jealousy is justified by his creation not honoring him. I'll agree with that. Because basically, okay, like, I'm going to use the children analogy because that's the closest thing that I can do, is like you raise your child, you give them everything, you make them paradise, but yet what they're going to do is they're going to cause anarchy and just turn around and fight back and refuse you, not listen to your rules. So from that perspective, I can totally see that. But then that begs the question about, do we actually have free will? And so far, yes, there's choices to be made, but I feel like every choice being made is always intervened. And it's intervened either positive or negative, but it's intervened by a divine being. Anarchy. I don't know what it means, but I love it. Anarchy is a rebellion. It is a personal rebellion, fighting against, going against whatever the, usually they say anarchy in, like disruption behavior, civil disobedience, going against whatever. Okay. Oh, that's a movie quote? Oh, what movie is it from? I'm just curious. Usually I'm on top of movie quotes and I'll quote movie quotes, but for some reason I don't recognize that one. Anarchy, I don't know what it means, but I love it. So I'm just curious what movie it is. Um, all right. I'm not, when I read this, like I said, I'm not trying to pull down Talladega Nights. Okay, that's why I've never seen that movie. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Will Ferrell movie, right? I believe it is. It probably is. He's funny, but I don't like him as an actor. I really don't. For some reason, he has this annoying quality. I mean, like, just, I don't know. I mean, I can't even say what movie I liked of him because I really don't like any of it. It's one of his. Yeah, okay. I figured that was Will Ferrell when you mentioned. I've never personally seen that movie, so like when I see that as Will Ferrell, I'm like, all right, it's either going to be just a one watch film and that's it, or I'm just going to completely override it and say I'm not even going to watch it. But yeah, his movies can be obnoxious. I agree with that. What was I saying? I don't know. I'm going to keep reading because I just get this, and I think I'm going to constantly. I'm gonna side with you on this, Sarah. I'm going to keep it in the point of view as if parent-child relationship. So God is the parent above us, and wants good for us, wants us to grow, wants us to be a good path. But I think right now we are completely going the different direction, and as the children are not obeying, so because the children are not obeying, he's becoming angry and jealous and this and that. Ms. Claus go back to the North Pole. Okay, I'm curious. Is that from Elf? I don't know. Speaking of which, I did say every now and then I'm going to interject conspiracy theories. Okay, this is just an interesting conspiracy theory, or you can call this a Mandela effect. Okay, so just hear my layers out, and then I'll get back to the reading because it has to do with the North Pole. Okay, guys, what is the North Pole? Simple question. What is the North Pole? Where is it? I am actually shocked because I remember all my life the North Pole was on top of the earth, like was the furthest north place that was a landmass. It's a landmass. Penguins are there, Santa Claus is there. It's an actual landmass. It's cold, it's icy. Okay, now I come to learn that there's no land whatsoever. There's no ice whatsoever. It's in the middle of the ocean, just the point where the Earth axis is. And even to this day, I'll be like, but I remember on globes, because every school has a globe, that there always was a landmass on top. Now, if you go deeper dive, if you start looking at cartography, maps of old, there always was a landmass on top in old cartography. Nowadays, there's nothing. It's just water. So yes, for me, Mandela effect. It's totally a Mandela effect, and I think it's also cover-ups and this and that. Because in my realm, North Pole was actually a landmass place. And yes, we put Santa Claus there as a fantasy sort of thing, but it always was a landmass. Now there's no such thing. There's no land up there. Absolutely no land. And that really bothers me. It does. It bothers me so much. But if you do the deeper dive, like I said, because one of the things they do is they tie into the North Pole potentially being the original Garden of Eden, because it was a landmass that separated with the four rivers described exactly as the Garden of Eden. And even though it's, quote, cold up there, climate and everything shifted. Now that's if you believe in the earth. If you go do a deeper dive, I'm leading right up to that. So that's the round earth. If you go with the flat earth theory, It's no longer round, it's now flat, which means the North Pole is the center of the Earth, because the Earth is going around this way. So you see what I mean? Like, say this right here, that's the Earth. The North Pole is up here. Now let's flatten out the land. The North Pole now becomes the center. Okay? And that makes things really, really interesting if that is the original Garden of Eden. Okay? I'll leave it at that. Do your deep dives. I love reading about... I'm not here to promote conspiracy theories. I'm not. The only thing what's interesting is when you read conspiracy theories and compare it to the Bible, they go hand in hand. The Bible justifies all the conspiracy theories. That's what I found fascinating about, because I always used to think that anybody who was a conspiracy theorist was an atheist. That was my belief. If you are a conspiracy theorist, then this right here is nothing but a book of fairy tales. However, that's not the case. If you're a conspiracy theorist, this becomes so clear and makes so much sense and opens up a different level of understanding. So, hello, Caitlin. Welcome to the show. So, I try not to... I used to do a podcast on conspiracy theories, but I did it as an intellectual type podcast where I would compare and contrast all the different beliefs. Never actually took a personal... there's some conspiracy theories I outright completely believe in. Like, for example, Mandela Effect. Totally believe that. There are clusters of people who have... What's the biggest one? Mandela Effect. The fact that there are clusters of people who have memories that are completely opposite of what is being taught today. There are some memories that I am going to, on my grave, will swear by. That's the way it was. And for them to say to me, nope, you have a false memory, that never happened, that wasn't true. They call it a Mandela Effect here. I'm very upset that I called you a lady. Okay, that's fine. I don't care what you call me. And it's large groups of people with no connection to each other. The only connection that I see, if you don't mind, Sarah, is age. That is the age. So I'm curious as to... I almost want to say, when I say age, the connection is like the time frame that they lived in. Because the younger generation, they're only taught what they're taught now. But when you're in like your 40s, your 50s, 60s, you're going to have memories much different than what... And every now and then, there's just some bit of knowledge that comes out that even I have to stop and be like, what? Thank you so much, Caitlin. So, we're gonna mute Caitlin. How about that? Anyway, so that's the one I strongly, strongly believe in, is Mandela effects. And I do believe, I almost feel like, okay, somebody asked me recently, and I think it was a very, very important question. And that's a question to myself I'm going to constantly revisit. The reason I'm going to revisit that question is, the question that was presented to me is, if you were to die right now, where would your spirit go? Where would your soul go? What would happen to you? And truthfully, right now, my answer is I don't know. I really don't know. And that might be my disconnect right now with the Bible. Now, bear in mind, I have not gotten to the New Testament yet. I have not gotten. At this time, nowhere from the point that I'm on does it talk about what happens to your everlasting soul. Not yet. We haven't gotten. I think there was one mention about a soul, but it didn't say what happens to it, where it goes, or anything like that. So we're up to Exodus 31, and there's no mention of what happens when you actually die, or where you go, or what. So I'm waiting for that moment to say, okay, do you go to heaven? Do you walk with God? The only possible one was that God took Enoch. I thought that was interesting. He disappeared. It didn't say that Enoch died. It said he disappeared. But I know later on there should have been a book of Enoch in here, but it's been taken out. I think that's why people recommend starting in the New Testament. I wanted to get the backstory first. I know I could have started in the New Testament, but I want to read the Old Testament because obviously before Jesus and even during the times of Jesus, the people around him are still following these ways. So even with Jesus walking among people, they're still following the Old Covenant. If that makes sense. I mean, they're still practicing these rules, these rituals. So that's why I think it's very interesting to read the Old Testament. The Old Testament is still important and relevant, so don't think, oh, okay, yeah. I was reading it wrong. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's why I didn't want to start at the New Testament. Definitely want to start at the Old Testament and go through. The rate that we're going, particularly with the discussion in between, which I feel like this discussion in between is so important because it solidifies the word of what it's saying, and it really helps me, at least on my journey. It helps me bring the teachings into my life, if that makes sense. Even if it's disagreeing with the word. You know what I mean? It's still causing me to think about it, discuss. I mean, one of the things that I think is wonderful, and this is is the fact that I said to Chris, I'm like, the difference between you and me is you go to work all day long. You interact with your coworkers, you interact with your people, you interact on a day-to-day, and you're doing things. I'm staying at home, and because I stay at home, my interaction is either limited to myself, my cats, or the interaction that I do here. And I always use my time as wisely as possible. I spend time cleaning, organizing, doing my business, and doing this. So the fact that I have something that I'm passionate about, that I could talk about and learn about, because if I wasn't doing this, I would probably be reading, researching, doing something else as far as, because I love researching. This is just going on a newfound research path that's going to take so long. And I think that's what's wonderful about it, is by me getting into this is a long-term research project. Anyway, I know I go off on tangents. I am so sorry about that. I really do. But the point I'm trying to make is I actually now have something that I could talk to him about every night. He tells me about work, and he even says, he's like, you don't want to hear about my work. I'm like, actually, I do want to hear about your work. I want to hear about your coworkers or what you do or the funny stories that happen or what made you angry. I want to hear that. I says, unfortunately, from my perspective, my talks are not going to be probably as exciting. But the fact that he finds something that's passionate and it's talking about something that he already has knowledge of. He thinks I'm crazy with some of my theories, but that's why he loves me. But it's giving me something to do, and it's giving me a passion. And I think that's what's important. And it's bringing to light a newfound path for me. That's what I have to say. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The question I need to revisit is, where is my soul? If I were to die today, what would happen to my soul? My answer at this point, and I will be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. I strongly feel, and this is probably going against what the Bible says, but in a part it does coincide with some beliefs of the Bible. I really believe that Earth is our spiritual hell. That is my belief. Earth is a spiritual hell. Nobody's guaranteeing tomorrow. Absolutely. And yes, that is a question I need to work out. Hear me out with what I mean by Earth is a spiritual hell. We can either make this a paradise or we can make it an enemy of ourselves. We can succumb to addiction and always lead a dark path. We can be helpful, grateful. And that's what I mean by free choice. I really feel like the Earth and our living physical form is a learning, experiencing, growing things in order to ascend into some sort of spiritual things. At this point, we're not ready for it. We have to learn all types of extremes, highs, lows, good, bad. I really believe that. And I also believe if we don't learn the lesson, we start all over to try to learn it again. And that's where I feel sometimes Mandela effects, memories, false memories may come into place. Because if we are living the same life over and over again, but each time we live it, we're living it from a different perspective, then we're going to have some really weird memories of our past. Some people may call that past lives. Some people may call it reincarnation. Some people may call it alternate dimensions. I mean, I feel like all of that ties together. And if you go by the belief that God really wants us to ascend to this all spiritual being, but we're not ready for that, I really believe that the earth is going to constantly test us. And that's what I believe is going to happen if I were to die today. And I don't know if that's a positive thing, a negative thing. I don't know if that's... But I really personally do not believe that if God is all-knowing and God is all-loving and we are the children of God, that just because I look up to him and say, look, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to believe. I am confused. I don't think he would condemn me to everlasting fiery pits of hell, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, if I were to talk to him right now, I'll be like, I don't know what to believe in. I really don't. Are you going to condemn me for my eternity because at this time I can't make a decision and I need help and guidance? I don't believe, you know what I mean? That's what Passover is foreshadowed. In what way? Just explain. Because I'm thinking with the Passover, he's basically giving you the choice. Either follow me, pour the blood over, and I'll pass over your door, or I'm killing your firstborn. I mean, to me, that's like forced. So just, if you don't mind explaining, yes, it's a choice now too. Okay, so even in Passover, if I were to stand outside the door with blood in my hand, but I haven't put it on the door, and I literally say, Lord, I've got the blood in hand. You're standing right there. I don't know what to do. So you mean to tell me he would kill my firstborn? I mean, that's the way that I'm looking at it. I that's how I feel like. I feel like, you know what I mean? I'm still confused in that respect. And I find it hard to believe that he would condemn somebody simply for being confused. Follow me of eternity in hell. Right now we haven't talked about, right now, but if it's foreshadowing of what hell is, then that's interesting. I'm waiting for that hell moment. I don't know what chapter. I think somebody mentioned it. I have it written down somewhere. But I am waiting for the moment we start talking about hell. Choose him and spend eternity with him. Or don't choose him and spend eternity without him. Jesus becomes the Passover lamb. Okay, so he's the sacrifice with the blood. Okay, that does make sense. That really, really does make sense. So, but I have to admit, I absolutely love these tangents that we go on because, like I said, it solidifies so many things with the Bible. I really believe that. Guys, come on. My cat goes crazy. I don't understand it. The two of them are sleeping. It's just, I've got Pikachu right here, right underneath. I've got Hope right on the corner. And then Treasure is just throughout the room. So I'm not too sure why she's going crazy. Anyway, okay, so let's, I think what's funny with this is that it's taking me longer and longer to read because we're only on chapter 8 of 31. Verse 8 of 31. Okay, it's okay to be confused, but the decision to follow him is based on faith. Keyword faith. I agree. And I think that's what my problem is that I don't have faith. I have doubt right now as opposed to faith. And that might be why I'm so blinded. And that's why every time I look at this, I keep asking for clarity. I keep asking for wisdom and understanding, because I'm actually going to write that down, because I'm going to write that word down, faith, because I think that's what my problem is I'm experiencing doubt, which is interesting. I didn't say I'm experiencing disbelief, because if I'm not mistaken, the opposite of faith would be disbelief. I think part of me believes. There is a big part. I mean, I don't think I would have ever accepted this journey if I didn't have a belief. So the belief is there. I think what I lack is the faith. And I don't know if I'm going to find the faith. I'll be honest, I don't know. And maybe that's where I may need the prayer. I might need that light bulb moment. I think you or somebody else said it yesterday, that if that light bulb moment actually comes, that's going to be some testimony. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe this is my journey of my testimony. But I'm coming to terms right now. What I lack right now is faith. So, and Chris has said that many times to me. He's like, it's faith right now. He's like, get out of your mind. He tells me, get out of your mind. He's like, you're too over analytical. You're too much digging into it. And I said to him, I says, but that's my natural tendency. That's the way I do this. I'm not Christian, but wanted to say, I hope you're all doing well. Hello, Truth. Welcome to the show. The way this show is designed, you can follow any path. Right now, this is my path, learning the Bible for the first time. I'm not here preaching as a know-it-all. I'm here literally opening the book up for the very first time and reading word by word. And what happens is, as the words come out, we start discussing anything that's blaring that comes out. It may be completely opposite of what Christians are told, or any religion. Because right now, I feel like we're learning more about the Judaic perspective. We're on the Old Testament, Exodus 31 right now. So we're learning about Judaism as opposed to Christianity, which is an interesting thing. I feel like it's very important, because that's what paved the way to Christianity when Jesus comes in the picture. But right now, and you could follow me or you cannot, right now I'm feeling a slight disconnect with the concept of an almighty God and how the Lord is being represented. Christians are telling me it's one and the same. I'm feeling like they're two separate entities. And I'm trying to put it into perspective that the Lord is our Father and we are the children. And that's why the Lord exhibits things like anger and jealousy and stuff like that, because he's trying to teach us as the children. But I'm still feeling such... It's interesting. And like I said, if I'm on every single day. I try to go on for about 2 hours or so. It used to be 1 hour. Now we've been doing 2 hours. But it opens up, and I encourage all type of dialogue. I encourage you to ask questions. I also encourage to disagree. The only thing is, please be respectful. Please don't disrupt or say negativity. I have never brought a guest up. However, I always said I am open to guests. However, contact me privately, and that'll be something that we can work together. I won't just pull up a guest as of right now, but if that is something you would do, because I love the whole debate aspect. And I mean, if somebody's interested, message me privately. So that is something we can do. So, because here's the thing. It's, from my perspective, it's not about fighting, saying that you guys are wrong, I'm right, that sort of thing. That's the last thing I want. But it's about bringing in different ideas, different interpretations, and opening your eyes that maybe people may take it differently. And as I'm reading this, I could see where there's so much debate that could go on. So it's interesting. But let's go on, because we are on chapter 31. We're on verse 8. We only went through 8 verses. We've been on over an hour. We're only on 8 verses. Okay, so as of right now, just to backtrack where we are. the Lord is talking to Moses, and the one blaring thing I get out is the Lord saying, I have filled you with the Spirit of God. So to me, that's also confirming God is separate than the Lord. However, the Lord is now saying, yes, I filled you with the Spirit of God, but now look at the things that I've done for you. I've done this, this, this. So he's basically giving a laundry list of all the things that he has done for the people. So he's saying, I've given you the table of his furniture, and the pure candlestick with all the furniture, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offerings with all his furniture, and the laver and his foot, and the cloths of service, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his son, the minister in the priest's office, and the anointing oil, the sweet incense for the holy place, according to all that I have commanded thee shall do. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, so he keeps speaking, speak thou also unto your children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbath ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify it. I'm going to stop for one moment. There's that word again. I get caught up every time I read it. Generations. So basically he's saying he wants these Sabbaths, these holidays, these rituals to be passed down from generation to generation. Once again, that analogy, father, son, passing it down. And that's why, hold on. Got a tickle in my throat, sorry. That's why I'm still thinking that the Lord is God's son. And then the Lord right now is in the spiritual form. And then as some sort of lesson, punishment, growth or metamorphosis, God is going to make the Lord into the manifestation of Jesus in the physical form. I really believe that. Excuse me. I'm choking now, so don't mind me. I'll give you a follow and I'd like to talk further eventually. That sounds great. I really do appreciate that. Like I said, I'm on every day. And you have to excuse me. I do have a little tickle in my throat. Which that's interesting because once again, I'm talking about God versus the Lord. But here's a theory, and I'm really wondering if God is the Father, the Lord is the spiritual Son, and then he's then going to become the physical form of Jesus, then this makes so much sense with the Holy Spirit Trinity. I really believe that. I haven't felt that great at times. We've been saying this. There's something going on between, well, it's a change of season, the time change, the cold fronts coming in, the full moon. There's a whole mess of things going on. So don't feel alone if you guys are feeling stressed, anxious, if you're not getting good sleep. If anybody follows the Schumann resonance, which is a guide of the Earth's breath, that's been off the charts as well. So it's been an interesting time right now. So you're exploring the Trinity? Are you exploring it if they are one and the same? Here's the thing about the Trinity. In the Bible, my rule is I'm only up to Exodus 31. I will always go backwards, but if somebody gives me a quote forward, a verse forward, I'll simply write it down, so when we get to it, we'll pay close attention of it. As of right now, we haven't gotten to the Trinity yet. But it's making me wonder because everybody, Christians that I talk to, keep telling me the Lord and God are one and the same. So it's all the same. I don't see it as one and the same at all right now. I'm seeing them as completely different sides. But if we are three, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but the same one God, like I said, the characteristics of Jesus, of the Lord right now are completely different than what God is being described. And the characteristics of the Lord are completely different than Jesus. So that's why I'm having problems with Lord right now. This character Lord, as he's described, is really bothering me. I want to look into what theologians say about that theory. That's definitely interesting. Something, the more I'm reading, the more I'm feeling it. But as of right now, I haven't even looked into that theory because I don't think people have mentioned that theory. Or maybe they have, I just don't know. But it's like a theory that I've never heard before. And right now I'm really, really wondering, because to me that would make so much sense. The Lord needs to learn a lesson because, like I said, we're already seeing the Lord is angry, the Lord is vain, the Lord is idolized, like, look at me, sort of thing. He has this negative undertone to him. He's very vengeful. He's the one that curses people. That's what the Lord is doing. When you read God, God didn't necessarily do that. The Lord is doing it. So I'm wondering if God is the Father and the Lord is his Son spiritually, he's going to say, I'm going to teach you a lesson, put you in the form my only son. Because God even said, my only begotten, if I'm recalling, my only begotten son, which I'm not too sure what begotten means. I got to look that up. But it's like, if the Lord is God's only son, and he's like, this is what I'm doing, I'm now making him a physical form, then that's just an interesting theory. Full moon will affect, yes, and we have had a full moon the past couple of days. The Trinity is that there are three, Father, Son, but the same God. We can't wrap our human minds around it, and that's okay. It seems like split. That's what I've been saying, because I look at things differently, and what I said is, okay, if the Lord and God are one and the same, I almost feel like there's a disconnect, a split personality, that there's a good side and a bad side to him, and I'm trying to bring it together. And the only thing that I could bring it together with is that theory that I said, that there's going to be a transformation where the spiritual Lord becomes the physical of Jesus, and that's how he finally ascends back up to his Father upon the crucifixion, because he learned his lesson. He learned all he needed to know about pain, suffering, forgiveness, and for sacrifice. That's what the Lord learned as Jesus, and that's why we have a whole new covenant compared to the old covenant, because the Lord's covenant is extremely dark and vain and self-centered. That's how I look at him. Okay, we'll hear this. The letter J was invented in 15 and learn the truth, dear, see his name. Victor, going to say one thing, and this is just what you said about the letter J, and I'm just going to go on a weird tangent for a second, and that involves when you look at old architecture with the letter J or the letter I being number one in years. That's all I'm going to say. Whoever wants to go down that rabbit hole can. But when we talked about the creation of time and years and stuff like that, with extremely old architecture or old coins, the first number one wasn't necessarily a 1. It was either an I or a J. Just something to think about. Check that rabbit hole. Isaiah 45. Okay, we haven't gotten to Isaiah yet, but I will write that down. 45:7 is questionable. I will highlight that when we get to it. It's going to be a long time before we get to Isaiah. So the God Yahweh and Lord seem to be two separate entities. I'm going to stop right there because we can go back on that. We made mention of that. I forgot which verse it is, but the one thing that came up, I'm just going back. Okay. Chapter 6:3 of Exodus. Exodus chapter 6:3. Depending upon which Bible you have, it's different. Okay? So in the newer forms of King James, he doesn't say Yahweh. He says, I am the Lord. Your fathers didn't know. I'm paraphrasing, but he calls himself, I am the Lord, the name your fathers didn't know. In other ones, in my versions, which happen to be, the oldest one I have is 1954, and then the second oldest is 1977, both of those use the name Jehovah. So he calls himself Jehovah. That is the name your fathers didn't know. In some of the Bibles, Yahweh is in the footnotes, not in the actual word. And the reason I bring that is why would the Lord change his name all of a sudden? And that's why, to me, there's also a disconnect. Because if I'm not mistaken, let me just go back, because I did say I would go back as opposed to going forward, but that was Exodus chapter 6, verse 3. Let me just go back for 1 second. Okay. This to me also is the back and forth, because in verse 2 it says, God spoke unto Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. Now that alone should tell me that it's one and the same. God said this, I am the Lord. But let me go on. I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but my name is Jehovah, was not known to them. So the reason why I say that is because the Lord keeps saying, I am the God of your father, I am the God of this, I am the God of that. But he doesn't necessarily say, I am the God of all. The Lord keeps referring to himself, and he did it many times in the last few chapters, saying, I am the God of him, but doesn't necessarily say, I am the God of all. In this case, it's going back and forth between Lord and God, because it starts out saying, then the Lord said unto Moses, and then it switches and says, and then God spoke unto Moses. So for me, the two words are going back and forth, and I don't think they're one and the same. I really think that first God is speaking, and then the Lord is speaking, and that's how I'm getting confused. So the God Yahweh and Lord seem to, that's my theory. That's the theory that I'm going with right now. And simply because the way that they're being described have different personalities and different traits. And just to justify some of them of why I'm thinking them separate, God so far has been described through water and through frequencies and sounds. God speaks. God appears in dreams. Whereas the Lord actually comes down, not necessarily physically, but they can see him. He will walk with them. He will be down on earth with them. He interacts with them. As of right now, we're not necessarily getting an interaction with God. The only interaction we're getting is through a voice or through a dream. Okay? Whereas the Lord is actually talking to them. So that's another reason. The Lord also is described as fire, whereas God is described as water. And because there's that two things, I'm like, are we getting a definition of gods that do different elements? Because then if we look at elemental, then the serpent, which I'm being told is supposed to be Satan or the devil, but I don't think that either. But the character of the serpent would be earth, because he was condemned and cursed to dwell among the dirt by the Lord. Not by God, but by the Lord. So I'm getting this disconnect. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the disconnect I'm getting, that I'm starting to believe that this, because even in Genesis, the term generations, Genesis, God is saying that this is the generations of creation. And that sentence bothers me. This is the generations of creation, because it's making me believe that there are multiple stories of generations of creation, which means there's multiple creations happening. So it very well is possible that the Bible is bringing forth the different generations of the different gods of the different stories of creation. That's my theory. It's probably a far-fetched theory, but one of the questions I have, which I can't answer just yet, I absolutely cannot answer, is the first 5 books are written from the point of view of Moses. And from my understanding, the people that are reading this are conduits of the messages from God. So I want to know, when we switch from Moses to the next writer that receives the messages of God, are they going to be describing God in the same context that Moses did? Or are we going to see a different change of how the gods are reacting and how the gods are described? Because if that's the case, then My personal belief, and everybody could disagree and say that I'm crazy, then my personal belief is literally this is a book talking about the generations of the different gods. You could disagree with me. I don't know that answer yet. I'm wondering, that's just a question in the back of my mind. I want to start seeing what happens when we start going into the different writers. So, you can think I'm completely crazy, but we're only on book 2, which is Exodus, and I'm only on chapter 31. But already, these are questions I have simply by how... Oh, and I just realized my chat isn't moving, so please forgive me. There's 17 new messages. I was on, so the God Yahweh and Lord seem to be two separate. They say God's name is Yahweh in Hebrew. That is correct. Yahweh in Hebrew, and that's why I said in some books it's a footnote, but depending upon which version, I have 7 different versions here. So if something weird comes up like that, I will go to the different versions and see what each one says. Jesus is a transliteration of what Victor is saying. Okay, not a direct translation. My favorite is, hello Lisa, welcome to the show. Let me write that down. Philippians 4:13. That's a great one. Apparently his name is Joshua, they say. That's another one that they say as well. Lord is a title as opposed to a name. That is correct. The only interesting thing, Sarah, is, and it's also here, there is Lord, spell your way, capital L, small case O-R-D. That's one reference to the Bible. Then there's Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. That's a second reference in the Bible. And then the third reference of the Bible is lowercase L-O-R-D. So far, the only reference to the lowercase L-O-R-D has only been when a slave is referring to a man as a master. Okay? That's the only time. However, the capital L-O-R-D and then the capital L with the lowercase O-R-D seems to be 2 different contexts as well. Yes, it's a title, but it's still different how it's being represented. Oh, thank you so much, Truth. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate it. I'm not crazy. I think I'm passionate, not crazy. But thank you. I appreciate that. But like I said, I am willing to change my perspective. My perspective is not set in stone. And I have enough open mind and enough I don't even know what the term is, but I have an open mind that if new evidence or new justification is brought to me, I can easily sway into that direction. And that's why I look at things from so many different points of view. If something is questionable, I'll be like, okay, it could be this one, it could be that one, it could be that one. What makes the most sense to me? I will probably go down one direction, but then something else may come along and say, nope, that direction's wrong. Let me backtrack and go this direction. So that you'll notice a lot of times. And right now, the direction, like I said, I'm going to is the idea that the Lord is still not the same person as God. That's one direction that I'm heading to. Another direction that I'm heading to is the idea of generations, that perhaps maybe we really are learning about the different forms of creations, but they're putting it all together in one book. Another direction I'm going into is I really want to read the supplemental texts, the lost texts, the texts that were removed from the Bible, because I'm wondering if they offer some guidance as well. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking about in the back of my mind. What I also think about is the excitement that we're only on the second chapter. I got all this to go, and already each show is bringing more and more discussion and questions. And I mean, this is exciting for me. I don't know. I mean, you're here every day, which I absolutely love it, but I am excited about this. And I'm sure people will follow along. They'll love it, that sort of thing. It just brings this newfound passion. All right. So right now, and I wrote that down for me personally, fear versus doubt. It's not disbelief. I believe. I just right now don't have the faith to back up that belief. And I think that's what's going to be important. And something that will be something I'll reflect and pray upon is faith versus doubt. All right, let's go on because we are on. Okay, so once again, we're on the Lord speaking to Moses. All right, and it says. Okay, let me read this again. The Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak thou unto your children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between you and me throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Okay, he keeps saying, I am the Lord. He's not saying, I am God. I am the Lord. But let's keep going. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defiled it surely should be put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, thou soul shall be cut off among his people. Okay, let me write this down because that's chapter 31:14 of Exodus. Right now we're defining a soul. Says nothing about a soul going to heaven and hell. All it simply says is a soul is going to be cut off among your people. Okay? So let me write that down because I think that's important. Cut off from among your people. Okay. I think that's important. I'm still looking for the light bulb moment of what happens to your soul. So let me go on because it was scrolling and still not scrolling. Okay, nobody's saying anything. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th day is the Sabbath day of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever work the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Okay, once again, mine says a person shall be cut off, not a soul. So your book doesn't say soul? Okay, hold on, Sarah, and thank you for pointing that out. I am going to go to the different books and see if it mentions souls or just... Because the book I'm reading right now is the 1977 version of the King James Bible. Let me go first to the 2018 man's version, see what the man's version says. This is Exodus 31:14. Okay, 31:14. You must keep the Sabbath that makes you holy to holy day. Anyone who desecrates will be put to death. Mentions nothing about a soul. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So they took the word soul out somewhere in the 80s then. Let me see. This is a 1954 version. Let's see what this one says. Exodus 31:14. 31:14. Okay, 31:14, the soul shall be cut off from his people. Okay, so that is, so far the King James. This one is the Zondervan. Let me see what Zondervan says, and I have an NIV one here. The NIV's over there. I'm going to look at the NIV one as well. So far, the old ones say, older than the 70s say soul. Do you happen to know what year yours is? Is yours a new one? I'm just curious. Exodus 31. (31:14) NIV. This one also says soul. And finally, let me go to the NIV one. Okay. 1982. Okay, so somewhere 1970, so somewhere in the 80s then, they changed it. And I mean, okay, I know it seems silly. Most people won't become fixated on it. Something like that, to me, is a fixated point. Because that one word soul really does make a difference. I'm sorry, I mean, it does. And I'm not trying to be... Okay, so what do we say? 31:14. Okay, the NIV Bible does not say soul. It just simply says will be cut off from their people. Interesting. That is an interesting thing. So I'm going to highlight that. Okay, so not in versions after 1980. All right, so the two versions that I have that are after 1980, both of them do not have the word soul. The ones before 1980 do have the word soul in it. And I think that's kind of important because I believe that's the second mention of soul so far in the Bible, but it just makes a reference to a soul. It doesn't say where it goes, what happens to it. But in this one, it's saying that the soul shall be separate from the people. I think that's important. I'm sorry, guys. I just got to fix this. So it's a little... There we go. Okay. So the soul should be separated from the people. But yeah, I don't know how old your grandma's version is, but if it is a King James version, I'm just curious if it says soul or not. All right. While you're looking for that, I'm going to go on because that is 31:14. Let me just read that one more time. Ye shall keep the Sabbath thereof, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Okay. Once again, it does say soul. Okay, so you see how tiny one word difference can possibly change the context of everything. And it's amazing that every time they keep translating it, they're taking, it was gifted to her in 6. Okay, so yeah, so definitely we'll just say for sake 1960s. You know what I mean? So her Bible is old. Like I said, my one Bible is 1954, and it says soul. So that's just interesting. This is a very extreme punishment. So they're saying if you work on the Sabbath, you're going to be put to death. For the longest time, and I was talking about this to Chris the other day, about blue laws. We always had blue laws when I was growing up. And the blue law was that on Sunday, everything's closed. Everything's closed on Sunday. They no longer do that. Now everything's open 24/7. Well, not really, but you know what I mean? Everything's open now. Extreme punishment in the Old Testament. Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying the Lord really has a dark undertone to him. But compared to how I know Jesus, like I almost feel like the covenant of Jesus is a complete turnaround and a whole new perspective than what the Lord wants of his people. But yeah, so you're going to be put to death for working the Sabbath. You're going to be put to death for defiling the Sabbath. We still do not know about the Sabbath because historically speaking, and this is where the divide is between Judaism and Christianity, is the Sabbath is on Saturday for Judaism, it's on Sunday for Christianity, and that is a man-made construct because having one group of people off on Saturday and another group of people off on Sunday meant that markets can be open 24/7. Okay? So that's the question that we still don't know the concept of time. God and Lord explain time in regards to 7 days, in regards to season change, in regards to sun and moon rising, the darkness and light on a daily basis. But we don't know where the calendar actually starts. And a calendar is being formed when we start talking about what day starts the new year. He started to describe that when he was describing the holidays of Passover and stuff like that. But the calendar is certainly different back then than it is now. And like I said, the man-made construct is that whole debate between Saturday or Sunday being the Sabbath. And if you look at it from a man-made perspective, it keeps the markets, it keeps the banks, it keeps everything open 24/7 by having one group of people follow the Sabbath on one day and another group of people follow the Sabbath on the next day. Just a little interesting, something to... But as far as the Bible, we need to kill people who don't follow the Sabbath. Or follow the holy day, the day of rest. Okay, so 6 days of work may be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest. It's holy to the Lord. Whosoever do any work on the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. So he's still saying over and over again, generations. Off topic. I just found she wrote in the cover, begotten one and only, will never happen again. You know something? Let me just write that down. I don't know if that's a Bible verse or if that's her own interpretation. I'm just going to write that question. Simply because, what does the second coming of Christ mean? What is that? Because, okay, I'm going to pause a second. I'm going to jump ahead. This is what's being taught in conspiracy theories. What I'm saying, I cannot back up and I cannot justify, because remember, we didn't get up to Jesus yet. But what is being taught among the conspiracy theories is that at somewhere in the point of Jesus, he says, I am going to return. No, you didn't derail me. This is something I want to mention, though. You absolutely did not derail me. But let me run with this thought for a minute. Somewhere in the New Testament, Jesus is basically going to say to his people, I will return in your generation. Which means, and this is where the conspiracy theory comes in. So guys, I'm just talking conspiracy theory, not Bible just yet. I will come in your generation. Which means at the point he died, the point he ascended, resurrected, he came back within their generation. So within a 70-year time period, he came back. When he came back, that brought 1,000 years of prosperity. 1,000 years. It is a belief, though, that right now, Revelation's already happened, Armageddon already happened, and we are now in the season of Satan. Because Satan was released from his pit, from his jail or whatever, with him being chained. And that's why the world is so messed up right now. And everything is backwards and everything is being twisted and lies and deceit. That is a belief. I don't know if it's true or not, but when you start doing deep dives into cultures like Tartaria, when you start doing deep dives into the calendar, when you do deep dives, I mean, somebody mentioned about the letter J. I said, do a deep dive on calendars where one used to be a J or an I. Very interesting concept if you look at that. And don't worry about derailing me. I always get derailed because ADHD, that's how I do. I go off on a tangent. But when you start looking at conspiracy theories and then how it ties into the Bible, like I said, the Bible could justify a lot of strange theories. And that's one of the reasons. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it does make me wonder, why are conspiracy theories so backed up by the Bible? Why are religious people so much a conspiracy theory? It's almost as if you have the religious people who read the Bible, who just accept the Bible, and then you have this other level of religious people who are diehard conspiracy theorists, and everything is justified and backed up by the Bible. Very interesting structure if you think about it. So I'm looking at it from both points of view, if that makes sense. But okay, yeah, that was my derailment. That's a rabbit hole if anybody wants to go into. Look up Tartaria and write down John 7:23 next to your notes about extreme punishments. Okay, John 7:23, extreme punishments. Okay, so my guess is that is going to be overrun or overruled and overturned. That's what I guess it. It goes back to talking about Jesus coming to fulfill the law. Okay. No, thank you for that. And like I said, when we get to these verses, definitely going to pay close attention to them, because I think it's important. I have a lot of verses that people have been referring to, but I think that's a valid rule, that I will always go backwards if somebody makes a mention, and I will go backwards. I'm not going forward simply because we didn't get the full context yet. But I can't wait till I finish the Bible. Then we can bounce around and be like, "Ooh, we got a verse here, here." That's me in the future. All right. Okay, so we are on the idea of a perpetual covenant. We're on chapter 31, verse 16 of Exodus. So he is designing a covenant that will go on forever and ever and ever. So many that's what I'm excited about. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do a Bible study now, because I know a Bible study is going to skip back. I think the next evolution of this, once I get done, is that I will start doing Bible studies, because I think that's going to be really, really interesting. Okay. Chapter 17. It is a sign between you and me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested, and he was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God. With so many authors over thousands of years, it can only point to God being inspired. Definitely. And that's what I'm accepting it. That this is written it's written by man with the messages straight from God. My only question is, and I will start to see it when I get further into it, is the interpretation of God going to start changing as we change authors? Are we going to see different mannerisms? Are we going to see different perspectives, different point of view? I'm keeping an open mind on that. I'm still going to say it's one and the same, but each time I'm reading it, I'm getting that disconnect. All right, chapter 32. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. Let's go on to chapter 32. I think 32 might be the last chapter, because we've only been doing one chapter a day. I want to try to get a little further. But I know there's 40 chapters in Exodus, so we still have 8 more to go. But let's go on to 32. This is a long chapter, but we'll see how much in-depth this is. So chapter 32. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man that brought us up of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. We wot not. Okay, I'm going to assume we do not know what's become of them. So basically, the people are going up to Aaron, who's the priest of the church, and saying, look, where is Moses? Make us one of the gods, so because we don't know what's happened to him. Bring us up to him. Make us one of him. Which is interesting, because why are they calling up, make us gods? So are they considering Moses a god? Like in their head, are they thinking that Moses is a god? Because it's saying, the people gathered themselves unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. Yeah, we do not know what's become of him, so make us gods. So in other words, I guess they're trying to think that they have the power to now make people into gods? Question, I don't know. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and your daughters, and bring them unto me. Why? All right. And all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them in their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said unto them, These be thy gods of Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is the feast of the Lord. Okay, stop. If I'm understanding this correctly, People are going up to him. Where's Moses? Make us gods. What happened? So Aaron, who is the head priest, he's the one that's adorned in the robes and this and that. Or actually, maybe not at this point, because Moses didn't come off the mountain yet. Those were all the rules of this. So he says, bring me your wife's earrings, your gold. He takes the gold and he fashions it into a statue, saying that these are the gods of Israel, which brought thee up to the land. I question this because this was the debate earlier. I forgot who. I think it was Abraham or whatever. One of the men earlier. It might have been Abraham or one of his sons. The wife stole his god, and I was trying to figure out what is the god. Is it a statue? It has to be something handheld because she stole the god and hid it under her seat. And she's in the tent with the god underneath her seat, and he's going crazy looking for it. Where's my god? And he wanted to, and she's like, well, I don't need to get up. So it was like a weird conversation. So they're trying to say that a statue is nothing more than a god. So he takes their wives' earrings and melts it into the statue of a molten calf, of a cow, which the god of animals. Remember I was mentioning about this? Creating animals in their kind. So there obviously is a god of animals. I just want to write that down. God of animals. Their kind. I just want to write that down. Because he do the molten calf. And that was chapter 32:4. So he literally is creating a statue. Now, from my understanding, let me just timeline. Moses is up on the mountain getting the messages. Literally, the past 10 chapters is giving step by step on how to do this covenant. So as of right now, while this is going on, the people down there don't have a tabernacle, because they haven't built it yet. The Lord was the one that said, okay, Moses, here's my covenant. This is the stuff I want you to do. I want you to do this. This is what you have to do. If my understanding, at this point, they haven't done it yet. Correct? Or am I wrong? Yeah, they haven't done it yet. Because he's still talking. Yes, I'm going back. The Lord said unto Moses, Lord, okay, so they haven't done it yet. So right now, for lack of better terms, there is no church right now. It says wanting to be gods just like Satan. I agree. So there's no tabernacle, there's no altar, there's no church right now. Because this was all being told to Moses while he was up on the mountain, which, long time. I mean, the past 10 chapters, obviously there was some time that passed. So the people are now getting confused and antsy and basically saying, where is Moses? Make us gods. So Aaron, I guess, tells them, go get your wife's earrings. Let's go fashion a god. So I almost feel like Aaron is doing the exact opposite of what God wants, because one of the tenets, one of the testimonies, the commandments that Lord was telling to Moses is, thou shalt not make false idols. But here you have Aaron making an idol out of the wife's earrings. Let's find out, because this could make things very, very interesting as to what happens. Okay, let me keep going. When Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made the proclamation, tomorrow is the feast of the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, go get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land have corrupted themselves. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, guys, gotta pause. Yeah, that's why I said timeline. Just take a timeline. Moses is up on the mountain being lectured as to exactly what needs to do to create a covenant. In the meantime, the people are all down below, not knowing what's going on. They don't know of, oh, Mommy's in the house. Hi, Mommy. I guess she tried calling me, but so the people are on the ground with Aaron. Aaron doesn't know that he's being elevated to the priest of this. They don't know that they have to make these sacrifices. They have no idea what's going on. So Aaron makes this brilliant idea that says, okay, let's go make this offering to the God. Let's go do this. I'm going to fashion from the earrings that your wives have of the gold. I'm going to make this, lack of a better word, this demon statue of a bull or whatever, a calf. I'm going to make this cow statue. Let's put it on the altar. Let's have a feast for the Lord, because what they're doing is they're doing the same thing that they did when they were in Egypt. Because as of right now, they don't know about the new covenant at all. They're still on the ground before Mount Sinai. So I hope you're okay, Mommy. She's there. She didn't say anything, but hi. So they are on the ground with the not knowing what the new covenant is. So the Lord, which is still up there talking with Moses, is saying, get back down there, because they are now corrupting themselves by doing the things that they're doing and not listening to what my new covenant is. It's because they don't know what the covenant is. They're still going the old ways, which would be the ways of Egypt. Okay, so this is interesting, guys. I don't know if you're like excited about this. Excuse me. Seriously. Hey. Baby, this is my little Pikachu. I love you, baby, but I gotta read the Bible. Okay? I love you, baby. Alright, that was Pikachu. Talk after work. Thank you. I know you have to go back to work. I'm okay. I hope you're okay. We'll talk, but I love that you came in. Yeah, that's my mommy. My mom came to visit. She gets a short break before she has to go back to work. And I pretty much told her, unfortunately, I read the Bible when she's on break. So see, they said hi, Ma. She might have already left. But hi, everybody. Yeah, so she gets a short break, and I get really excited reading the Bible. So now, like I said, this is interesting because the people are not knowing that they're breaking the covenant. So let's go on. Go get that down, for thy people who brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, the god, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereon, and said, these be thy gods of Israel, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. What is a stiff-neck? A stubborn? I don't know what a stiff-necked... I mean, when you have a stiff neck, but what does that mean when you're stiff-necked? But you see what's happening? The people are already... Oh, you have a little break? Well, welcome to the show, Beth. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so now stiff-necked means stubborn? Okay, that makes sense. So now you've got stubborn people. But here's the thing. They don't know that they're breaking the covenant because Moses is still up on the mountain. He never came down to explain what the Lord wanted. So they're making the assumption that in order to worship the Lord, they need to create this statue, the calf. They need to worship it. So in a sense, these people who have just escaped Egypt are already worshiping the other god without realizing it. They're thinking they're doing it on behalf of the Lord, but they're worshiping the god of the calf. So that's interesting. And remember, it's the duality of multiple gods, because we already know the Lord has mentioned it. There are other gods. So he's saying that the people are corrupting themselves because they're now worshiping this other god. Okay, so let me keep going. We're on chapter 32:9. The Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is stiff-necked people. Okay, stubborn people. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them. And I will make of thee a great nation. Okay, pause. Let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I may make thou a great nation. Okay, so this is anger. Now here's the thing. Let's pause a minute. Waxing, waning, those are moon. When you wax, it means it increases. Waning is decreasing. So when he says, leave me alone so I may wax hot, he's like, leave me alone because I am so angry. My anger is building that they're going against me. Why would he hold it against them if at this moment they don't know of the covenant? I actually think that is irrational thinking, if you don't mind me saying. Because here it is. Moses is up there talking to the Lord. People don't know what's going on. As far as they know, they're twiddling their thumbs saying, okay, we're supposed to be getting a message from the Lord. So what they do is, let's praise the Lord as they know it. Because they don't know the new way that the Lord wants. So what they're doing is they devise the statue, they devise this altar, they make burnt offerings saying, praise the Lord. He's so angry and upset. Why is he angry and upset? He didn't give them the commands yet. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They're doing it, they're offering, they're devoting themselves in ways that they know and understand. And he's angry for this. And he shouldn't be angry for them. If anything, it's his fault for not conveying the message to the people. Well, they still know it wasn't a golden calf that delivered them from Egypt. Correct. I mean, I would assume that. I mean, they're tying in that the Lord is in representation of a golden calf. That's the only thing I could think of. So it makes no sense to me why he's becoming so angry with them if it's technically his own doing as to why these people don't know what's going on. All right, let me go on, but you see where it's like, why is he getting angry? And Moses brought the Lord, his God. Moses besought the Lord, his God, and said, Lord, why doth that wrath wax hot against thy people, for which thou hast brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Okay, perfect. All right, I should have read the next line. Now even Moses saying, Lord, why are you so upset about this? You're the one that brought these people out. Why is that wrath so hot? Let's see if we get an answer, because I'm jumping ahead with my questions. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring unto them to slay in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. Okay, interesting. I'll go on in a second. So now Moses is basically saying to the Lord, I mean, this is a interesting power dynamic. Moses is saying to the Lord, why are you so angry? Where is this wrath coming from? Repent yourself. So now he's telling the Lord to repent, which is making me even more saying that the Lord is not the God above all gods, because who would the Lord be repenting to? Himself? Unless the Lord is the Son of God, is a different God, is a lesser God. And I know, like I said, people will get angry about that. But who is the Lord going to be repenting to if... Let me go on. All right. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring out to slay them on the mountains and consume them for the face of earth? Turn thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou sware by thy own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars in heaven, and with all this land I have spoken of, I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. So even Moses is reminding them, saying, look, you brought these people out of bondage. You made a promise to them that you would see them multiplying, that you would see them grow. Why are you so angry with them? Why are you ready to kill your own people that you just released from bondage simply because they're doing something that is against your covenant, but you never told them the covenant to begin with? Going back to work. Beth, take care. Have a great day. I appreciate you stopping by. I do this every day during this time. So I'll see you guys. So you see what I mean about this is a very, very powerful and interesting dynamic. Okay. The Lord repented of the evil were in his hand. The tables were written on both sides. On one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. Pause. The writing was the work of God. The tables were the work of God. Why didn't he simply say the writing was the work of the Lord? I'm sorry, guys. I am sorry. I do not think the Lord and God are the same people. I really, are the same entity. I really don't. He would flat out say, the tables are the work of the Lord. I bring to you the